What year is this? It's 2026 and I'm still Mischke. Let me tell you a little something. It's very difficult for me to believe it's 2026 because, well, that's the future. When I was young, that was the distant future, and that was incomprehensible. 2026? That was Star Trek country. I could not fathom the notion of 2026 when I was a boy. And yet here we are. And you know what? Things aren't all that different, really. Car drives down the street, parks, a dad gets out, walks into the house and has dinner. It's really the same damn thing. What the hell happened? I thought it would be much different. It's 2026 and you still walk into a bathroom at someone's house and there's a toilet and a shower. We have not advanced a great deal in that department. In the summertime, you see a guy with a t-shirt and jeans. I saw that when I was little. Some people get up every day and take a city bus. What? There are still city buses in 2026? People sit down at a table for a meal, and there's a plate, a knife, a fork, a steak, a potato. That was what was going on when I was a kid. What is the point of having 2026 if it's just going to look pretty much the same? Look, there's a family watching TV. They did that when I was a kid. The Vikings have not won a Super Bowl. They hadn't won one when I was a kid. I don't know what the point is of having a future if this is all we do with it. Look, there's a house with a den, a kitchen, a living room. There's an office with a guy at a desk talking on the phone. They were doing that 60 years ago. Let me tell you something. I was a 9-year-old boy in the bathroom at our family cabin in Wisconsin. We had just moved up there for the summer. It was early June, 1971. And in the biffy was a Time magazine. I grew up with an old man who read Time and Newsweek while seated on the toilet. So there were always Time and Newsweek magazines in the biffy. So I'm 9 years old. I'm in the little bathroom there at the cabin, and on the floor is Time magazine, and I pick it up and I start reading it, and I learn that the President of the United States has declared war on cancer. The President of the United States, Richard Milhouse Nixon, has declared war on cancer. Well, that surely will eradicate it. I mean, when this country puts its mind to something, stuff happens. Look at the Manhattan Project. I said to myself then and there in that biffy, 1980 is going to come and cancer will be over, done, finished. That will not be a disease people worry about anymore. Not in 1980. Not with this war we've declared. Remember, Kennedy said we're going to put a man on the moon by the end of this decade. We did it! That's a tough thing to do, a very difficult thing to do, Nixon says in 71. I have declared war on cancer. We're going to fund it like never before, this cure. We are going to get rid of this scourge. If not by 1980, by 1990, we'll have it cured. 2000? No way, we won't be dying of anything in the year 2000. 2010? 2010, we're not even going to be living on planet Earth. 2026? I still know all sorts of people dying of cancer. How'd that war go? How did we screw that up that badly? Were we really trying that hard? Cancer's everywhere, and it's still scary. War on cancer. I think the Vikings declared war on losing Super Bowls. After 1977, they declared war. We're never losing a Super Bowl again. It was the wrong war to declare. You should have declared war on your failure to get into the Super Bowl. Nothing much is changing, folks. Not so fast, Mischke boy. What? You were mentioning the biffy earlier. Changes are afoot, my friend. Do you never go to CNN? Let's go to CNN right now. Well, why? Why are we going to CNN? I'll show you. There's a headline. There's a headline today at CNN. It's a product review story. And you know the products being reviewed? Bidets. Bidets. There's an advancement over the standard American toilet, the bidet. Here's someone who wrote a story, The Best Bidets of 2026, tested by our editors. Finding the best bidet for your home can make a world of difference. Not only do you get a better clean, but using a bidet can also help you live a more sustainable life by cutting back on toilet paper. And that's not even mentioning the luxuries of a heated seat and a dryer that will make you wonder how you ever lived without a bidet. Now that the taboo around washing your butt is finally leaving America, you might be looking for your first bidet. To help you, we've spent 4 months testing and reviewing 35 of the most popular bidets on the market to find the absolute best. Here are 3 we love. The Tushy Classic. Folks, have you tried the Tushy Classic? Now, I could read this entire article to you, and we'd have a good time because it's funnier than hell. Now, some people listening right now don't know what a bidet is. Not a lot, but there are some. A bidet is a bowl or receptacle designed to be sat upon in order to wash a person's butt. The bidet is designed to promote personal hygiene and is used after defecation. In many European countries, a bidet is now required by law to be present in every bathroom containing a toilet bowl. Bidet is a French word meaning pony due to the straddling position adopted in its usage. Wanna ride my little pony? Your popo will be happy. People use bidets for superior hygiene. It cleans more thoroughly than wiping. It hits your butt with a stream of warm water. So this woman writes about the different bidets she tried out in the last few months, and she spends a lot of time talking about the little jet of water that hits her backside there and which streams feel better than other streams. I could spend a lot of time reading it. I won't. I had a hell of a good time reading it earlier today, however. Yeah. Had they told me when I was a boy that in 2026 news organizations would be reviewing the bidet, a new way to use a toilet instead of grabbing the toilet paper. Get the fire hose! Hit yourself with the fire hose! A nice warm... Folks, I'd like to take you in a different direction, if I may. No, I don't want to discourage you from getting a bidet. Go get a bidet. God knows it sounds like a hoot. I can imagine people using it even when they don't need it. just to feel the wild thrill of it all. I'm certain we are not too far away from the day when we feature bidet parties. Fun bidet parties, inviting people over on a Saturday night to enjoy a bidet together and talk about the warm, pleasurable feeling of that stream hitting us right there. The titillating, exotic sensations. Oh, we could sit and talk about it afterward over wine and cheese. Carol, how about that stream of warm water, huh? Connie, it's the best. I just love it. No, I don't want to get in the way of your bidet dream, people, but I want to take you back to a time before the bidet, okay? Not to the halcyon days of the plain old toilet, the old-fashioned, simple, everyday toilet that used to be enough for people. Sure, we all seemed good with that at one time, till someone said, "This cannot stand, we cannot live with this. We need a cannon spray of water on our rear end." No, I want to go back to a time even before that typical modern toilet. If I may, CNN is never going to send a reporter to review what I want to review right now. They would not stoop to that. But that's where they're lost. That's where they're ill-informed. That's where they're just not inquisitive enough. They lack imagination. I want to create a CNN-type review of the old outhouse. Now, bear with me here. Pardon the pun. I am truly serious. For I still use an outhouse, and I'm not joking. I have a little cabin in northern Wisconsin on a river. It's heated with a wood-burning stove. There's a pump out in the yard for pumping water, and that, of course, works year-round because the pipe is perpendicular, not horizontal, and the water drops below the ground freezing mark, so you can pump the water all year-round. So I have water year-round. And I do have electricity, which means the outhouse is heated. And in the cabin, there's a refrigerator and an electric stove. So it's really a luxurious life in my mind. There's a wood-burning stove for heating the cabin. And then there's an outhouse that has a milk barn heater in it. So it's 70 degrees in the outhouse in the winter. And it's perfect. Everything is perfect. But I'm going to just focus on the outhouse. You can take your bidet. You can take your modern American bathroom with a regular old toilet. And you can shove it up. No, hold on a minute. I mean, you can have it. It doesn't touch the outhouse experience for joy, serenity, a sense of being truly alive. I don't know why we ever left the outhouse. I really don't. And let me explain. It's a winter evening. Say it's 4 degrees outside. You leave the little cabin, the little warm cabin, and you come out under the stars, and you feel that cold, that wonderful cold, that thrilling cold that makes you feel alive. See, in the summertime, you get that oppressive heat, that awful heat, that weight of heat. You never feel alive when you get hit with that. No way. The cold is what brings you to life. So you come out and you feel alive. It just wakes you up, crystallizes your thoughts and your thinking. And you walk the path out to the outhouse, past the pine trees, and they're swaying and creaking. The stars are out. It's beautiful. The snow in all directions. And you get to the outhouse, and it's warm. Again, there's that milk barn heater. And I built a beautiful outhouse. I'll put it up against the best outhouses ever built. It's stunningly beautiful. And you go in there, and you sit down, and you leave the door wide open, so that you can watch the pine trees sway. Maybe you'll see a shadow go by. Was that a deer? What was that, a bear? Was that a coyote? I don't know. And you look out, you can even see the ice on the river. And you hear sounds, mysterious, wondrous sounds. And everything's magical. And all you're doing is using the toilet. Where's that with the bidet? Where's that with the typical American bathroom with your regular old toilet? Why did we give up on that outhouse? Now, someone's going to say, Mischke, we gave up because we didn't like the idea of the buildup over time of that waste. There isn't any. I didn't read up on any of this stuff. I figured it out myself. It was obvious. You just dig a hole in back of the outhouse. that goes down and then takes a turn into the pit of the outhouse. And what you do is, with great frequency, certainly after a weekend, you start a little fire in the pit of the outhouse. And it burns and sterilizes everything, and all that's left is this white ash. And you go to that hole that you dug in back, and you rake out the ash. And the next weekend you come up, it's pristine once more. And as for using the outhouse, with each use, you simply dump a cup of lime into the outhouse, and that takes care of any smell. It takes care of any awareness that anything's happened in that bathroom at all. There's no mechanics to it. There's no fixing broken pipes. There's no plumber needed. It's so maintenance-free. And then again, that wondrous ability to walk outside, walk to the outhouse, and then enjoy the wilderness out the door. Leave the door wide open. Take in the surroundings. Say to yourself, how did I get this lucky? And you also connect to all the outhouse users that have come before, the many generations that have also used outhouses. You connect with people from the 19th century, 18th century, 17th century. You're one with them. Maybe when you finish, you stop by the pump and you pump a bucket of water, and you bring that to the cabin and you heat it up. Maybe when you leave the outhouse, you just take a walk, maybe down to the river. Believe it or not, the ice is thick even on a river. And you just start walking down river for a while, looking at the stars, thinking about life, all prompted by your trip to the toilet. Now, what I have also in my outhouse are several old comic books from the 50s that are old Western comic books, tales of the Old West. Where else are you going to read old comics from the 50s that have a setting of the Old West, but in an outhouse? It's beautiful wood, varnished wood in all directions. A little candle burns next to you. There's an old radio playing the local station from the small town a few miles away, the 5,000-watt station. You listen to the old guy while you sit there, listening to the pine trees sway. All is right with the world, but you have no bidet. There's no bidet. There's no fire hose hitting you in your poo-poo. How do you like that? Oh, it feels good. Do it again. I'm sorry. How did we get off on this topic? Oh, 2026. That's right. If you've been beaten or battered or beat up or bashed or bludgeoned through the callous disregard of another human, let me tell ya, what you gotta do? Go to Bradshaw and Bryant. They'll come through. They are superheroes without the cape. They'll get your life back in decent shape. They'll get you the compensation to make you whole. Balancing the scales of justice is the goal. I'm talking to ya, Daddy, brother, sister, mom. Go to MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. That's MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. How many times do I gotta say it? The personal injury attorneys who top the rest, the award winners, the ones held up by their peers, Bradshaw and Bryant. I've been talking about American Pressure for several months. They sell pressure washers. They service pressure washers. They have all the parts you need for pressure washers. They've been around as long as pressure washers have been around. I try to think about the person listening, and I think, why wouldn't they go with American Pressure? You think you have someone better? You haven't even given American Pressure a chance to talk to you about whether or not that's true. Have you looked into the advantages of dealing with a place that sends out service trucks as well as repairs pressure washers in-house in Robbinsdale? Have you looked at the advantages of a company that can send out parts anywhere in the country and they have all the parts you need, thousands of parts. Have you looked at the advantages of a place that's been around for decades and decades? They have come to understand the pressure washer in all its variations in a way very few companies could ever do, because it takes time. The old idea of good, better, best is a real thing in the pressure washing business. Why not go with the best? American Pressure of Robbinsdale. Well, what do you say we make a phone call? See what's going on in listener land. Okay, I'll make that call.
Hello.
Richard!
Tommy.
You guessed it, boyo. You are awfully high on the callers list, which means you've been on that list for a long time. What have you done with your years on this earth?
Went to college, studied business and accounting, and fell in love with restaurants. And I've been doing that ever since.
You went to college to study what?
Business and accounting.
Now, when you're doing that, what's going on in your head? You're sitting there wanting to study something, and you say to yourself, you know what's the most fun? I mean, it's a no-brainer. Business and accounting. Doesn't get better than that. Did you say that to yourself?
Kind of.
What?
I mean, I had a lot of labor jobs and a lot of jobs that were tough. I never really saw myself as having a future until I matured enough to go to college. And then when I went to college, I wanted the best bang for my buck. You know, I didn't want to study basket weaving.
Come on, they don't offer that. They don't offer that. What could you have studied that you chose not to because you said, oh, there's not much money in that? There is no basket weaving. What could you have studied that you didn't?
Prior to, I was working in the steel industry when the economy collapsed. And I went from being able to work a ton of overtime and having money and all that to really nobody was hiring, and manufacturing was in a lot of trouble. And in that time, I ended up playing pool, billiards.
Yeah.
And got good enough to where I was considering trying to do pro stuff.
You wanted to be a professional pool player? I suppose I could collect my books and get on back to school, or steal my daddy's cue and make a living playing pool. Let me guess, you found yourself a rock and roll band that needed a helping hand.
How that evolved was, maybe 5 years before then, I had fallen in love with pool, but I was terrible. And one day I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go practice pool. My girlfriend at the time, she looked at me and she goes, you should. You're terrible. And you never practice. You just play. So I started practicing, but I really didn't have any direction. And so I asked a local kind of coach instructor, what to do. And he says, well, I'll give you a lesson and we'll start there. And in that lesson, we did some basic things, but before we ever learned anything, he looked at me and he says, something you got to think about as you're doing this. Do you actually want to get better? And I said, well, I'm paying you. And he goes, no. Most people don't want to put the work in to get better. They don't want to take the time. You have to decide how committed you are to getting better. Are you sure you want to do this? But I stuck with it. Got pretty dang good.
How much time did you put in?
60 to 80 hours a week. I would get up about 5:30 in the morning. I would go get my coffee, and there was a guy I knew who had given me his key to his practice space. So he had a table and a heated garage, plenty of space to play. So I'd go get my coffee and a couple of donuts, and then I'd go start working drills. I'd get there about 6:15. And then one of two things would happen. I would either play a little bit with him, or my phone would ring and I'd go play a cash game. And then 3-4 times a week, there were small tournaments all around, some in bars, some in pool halls. And so I had a schedule, just ran it like a business. When I really started taking it seriously was I had been practicing for a while, and the eternal way of measuring whether you're better than a guy or not is betting a couple of bucks. One week at the bank, there was more money in my wallet than I'd had the previous week. Then I started to think I could do it.
You started to play pool and make money, and you started to make enough money where you said, it's possible. I could do this for a living.
The 1 year I did it full time, I cleared like 30 grand over and above my expenses.
You said to yourself, I've done this and I could still get better than I am right now. I'm still not as good as I could be. I could make more. I could get better. And this really could be an enjoyable, pleasurable, and lucrative living.
The higher you climb the ladder, the more effort you put in to get a little bit better. And the harder it is to go up a level. When you're going through the low ranks, you can advance fairly quickly if you're working at it. But once you start competing with the best of the best, it becomes a much tougher road to hoe. And I had a backer, but he wasn't the greatest human being, we'll say. And
could I ask, how many backers in the world of pool are great human beings? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to stereotype, but
they're not all terrible.
Well,
but
no.
Some are. And there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on too. That, you know what I should share with you? I want to share with you how pool changed my life. I played a gentleman whose name was Demi, and at the time, Demi was arguably the best player in Minnesota. And we played a few games, and I lost, and I paid him the money, and I said, "Man, Demi, I just couldn't make myself do the right thing today." And he goes, "Hey, would you like some advice?" And I said, "Well, sure." And he goes, No, really, I'm genuinely asking because I don't want to offend you. I like you, but if you want my perspective, I'll give it to you. And I said, "Demi, you're a great player. I want to hear anything you have to say." And Demi said to me, "My 4-year-old son is a terrible driver. Doesn't mean he's dumb or he doesn't understand what a car is. He's just 4. He can't reach the pedals. He can't do it. And it doesn't mean that he won't be able to drive a car someday or that he won't be a good driver once he's old enough and once the time's right." He goes, "When I look at your pool game, you know what you're doing. You understand the car. You're just 4. Now, when I look at what you're doing at the pool table and you say these things like you just can't make yourself do the right thing, I want you to understand that the character archetype of a person who gets better at pool is generally a solitary, angry person because it just takes that mentality to spend the hours perfecting the craft. And so if the negative motivation works for you, by all means, keep doing it. But if you don't feel like it's working for you, let go of it. Because even though 95% of the people you're going to meet in this game are angry, solitary people, there's 5% that aren't. You should really think about that. And so I did. And I decided that I was no longer going to be angry at myself, and I was no longer going to be angry at my failure. I was just going to accept where I was at and go for it. And for the next year after that, played the best pool I'd ever played in my life, shot at a lot of balls. If it went in, great. If it didn't, it didn't. But what happened as a byproduct of that process was I started to address my own anger issues. I started to accept that I had some anger issues and started to work on them. And it changed my whole life.
What is the relationship between anger and shooting pool?
There are a lot of people who are more comfortable with negative motivations than positive motivation. I don't think people are always trained or equipped to be positively motivated, at least in the pool world. I think the evidence definitely shows that the more I worked on myself, the more I was able to achieve, not just in pool, but in the rest of my life. When I looked at what it would take to truly try to compete at the pro level, I figured entering those tournaments would cost me basically everything that I had saved, and I wasn't sure that I could get a return on my money. The downside would be taking my shot and not succeeding and not having anything to show for it after a year or two.
So what did you decide to do? You decided to go back to school.
Yeah, studied business and accounting, and I was a salaried manager within a year and been my career ever since.
So you have been in the restaurant business since what year?
2014.
11 years. Managing always?
I climbed the ladder quickly, so I've held every position at different times because careers aren't always linear, but I was a salary manager within a year and have continued to be a salary manager or a executive chef or kitchen manager or I've played all roles, been a general manager.
What do you like about the restaurant business?
I think I do well with the chaos and people. You're caring for people in a very intimate way. I love to cook. Grandma taught me how to cook. I had many line cook teach me all about institutional commercial cooking. So just fantastic. It's a great career. It's a tough job, sure. But I also worked in a steel shop in August where it's 110 degrees and they water you like cattle. So
what are your predictions for 2026? What's going to happen this year? Anything surprising? You got a hunch of something maybe about summertime or fall? What's going to go on that none of us see coming?
I would like to think that people are starting to get sick and tired of being so divided. And it wouldn't shock me if in the coming year we saw people trying to come together a little bit.
Well, maybe.
We have a really factionalized society right now.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to gain an awareness of how that fracture hurts their day-to-day lives, whether it's just being separated with the smartphones or this crazy stuff about not being able to civilly have disagreements. And I think people are starting to become a bit more aware of how that might be harming their overall quality of life.
There was a song my brothers used to play when I was a kid. They were older than me, and they were hippies. And they used to play this song. This woman would sing it when something like, I think it's so groovy now that people are finally getting together. I think it's wonderful and how that people are finally getting together. So that might have been the last time that happened. I think that was the late 60s. I guess people were getting together back then, finally. And maybe we're going to hear a song like that again. Although, boy, it's hard for me to picture that. By the way, when that song came out, I don't actually think we were getting together. I think that was a very divided time in our history, come to think of it.
Well, you know what, Tommy? If I'm wrong, things will stay the same.
Yeah. Well, it's an optimistic prediction. I like it. I hope it comes to fruition. We'll end on that note, but I'm sure delighted to have reached you. Great visiting with you.
Yeah, you as well, Tommy. Very happy we got to connect, and take her easy, sir.
You as well. So long. I've been doing ads for the Wellshire Memory Care Center of Bloomington and Medina for a while now. And I've been focusing on the same things. The fact that the Wellshire only focuses on memory care. It's not an assisted living facility with a memory care wing. It's a specialized memory care center. They focus on the nuances, the complexities of memory care. They've figured out it's best to break down a facility into 4 quadrants for the 4 stages of memory care. I've talked about the fact that for amenities, it's rather extraordinary. They have this town square environment, ice cream shops, salons, barber shops, cinema. There's a vibe there of a community, a small town community. In the summertime and spring and fall, gardens, courtyards, balconies. It's a wonderful place for families to get together. You need to see where the bar is. You need to see the standard that's out there. The Wellshire will blow you away. The Wellshire of Bloomington and Medina. Some people out there think they can handle preparing for retirement without any advice from anyone. Some people are idiots. The fact of the matter is there's more to know than you know. When it comes time to thinking about your retirement, even if it's years off in the future, you should have a plan, you should have goals, you should have a roadmap on how to get there. You should talk to people who specialize in this, especially when, like Josh Arnold, they are offering you 48 minutes on the phone free of charge. You can talk about a lot of things in 48 minutes, a lot. It's not going to cost you anything, and you'll get a feel for what Josh offers, and you'll get a sense of where you are and maybe where you need to be. It doesn't cost you anything. After that phone call, hang up, never call him again if you don't want to. You'll have learned some things. 888-952-925-5608. Make that free call, and please get a hold of me and let me know how it went.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security and investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. Tommy Mischke is a paid endorser.
Mischke.
Dave!
Well, I'm glad I actually took this call because I'm out with Mom and Dad.
Could I speak to him, please?
Yeah, hold on. Talk to Tom Mischke. Hello?
Hi, are you Dave's dad?
I am.
Well, it's good to make your acquaintance. My name's Mischke. I don't know if you've ever heard of me.
No, I haven't.
Well, that's great. I like it that way. I'm nobody special. Dave thinks I am. But what's your story? What did you do with your life?
This is going to be a long interview. We're sitting in a restaurant.
I figured it'd be 60 seconds. How many years you been alive?
88.
88? Okay, it's going to be a little bit longer than 60 seconds.
Well, you're going to have to call Dave back.
Do I really have to call Dave back?
You're going to have to do that.
Oh, but what about the missus? Could I say hello to her?
You want to talk to Mischke? He doesn't want to talk to you.
Tell her that hurts my feelings.
Well, maybe she doesn't care. I don't know.
Is she that
I'll
callous?
tell you what. I'm going to give you back to Dave. Hey, Tom.
I'd like to speak to your mother.
She won't talk. They're fuddy-duddies.
Old fuddy-duddies?
Yeah. Usually my dad's pretty humorous, but it's humor on his terms.
Yeah, that's always tough, because that's often for an audience of one.
Exactly.
And you're still living in the basement?
No. Got out of there when I was 27, actually. So, no, that was about 27 years ago. What are you doing, Tom? Did you make it through the new year?
I did. I made it through the new year, and it was a lot like in Star Trek when they go through that cave wall and they enter a different time. Do you remember that?
To be honest, I never really watched Star Trek. It just never took.
Oh, well, that's what happened to me. I went through the portal, and here it is, 2026. Yep. And I got to tell you something. Looks a lot like 1974. I mean, everybody's still pretty much putting on a T-shirt and some pants and shoes, going to a restaurant, driving a car, heading to work. Blue skies look like blue skies. Snow looks like snow. Every now and then, people get married. Some have kids. Nothing really is changing.
No, I see that too. I mean, if we reverted to 74, we'd all probably be much more happy.
I think we would be happier, but there are several reasons for that. Number one, we would have the luxury of knowing, well, we got a lot more time where things are going to be relatively okay, because 74 to 84 to 94, I mean, life was pretty good. It was okay. So we'd have that luxury, and then we'd have the nostalgia thing. We'd get to go back to some old businesses we used to like to patronize, or we'd go see our old stomping grounds, or see old relatives who are alive. It'd be a high for a while that we would ride before settling into day-to-day life. First thing I'd do is I'd buy myself a car and I'd take a road trip cross-country. I mean, I'd really want to get out there and just enjoy the day on the road. 1974. Is it the same as 1947 with Kerouac? No. No, 74 would not be 47. But the cars worked better. They broke down less. You ever do this? Late at night, you can't sleep. You're lying in bed staring at the ceiling. You go on a road trip, except it's a road trip in 1954. You get in a car. The car has a radio. It's an AM radio, but it's okay. You start taking Route 66, stopping off at places to have a beer, meeting folks, just heading cross country, maybe going to see California when California hadn't been ruined yet. Maybe sit on the ocean with somebody from that period of time and just have a drink with them, talk about life, get in the car, head back after that.
You know, that's kind of like the era of movies I like in the 50s, where they actually do that in the movies. Most of their scenes are beach scenes and quiet drives with their girlfriends or wives, and everything's relaxing and everyone's happy and life is great.
So all I know about you is you texted me mentioning that you're up for being on the listener caller list and that you happen to be with Sheet Metal Workers Local 10.
You are correct, Tommy.
Sheet Metal Workers Local 10. I'd like to write a song called Sheet Metal Workers Local 10. Coming at you, not a Sheet Metal Workers Local 10. Coming at you. Sheet Metal Workers Local 10. Coming at you. Sheet Metal Workers Local 10. Boom, boom, boom. Say it. Say it. Say it again. I said a Sheet Metal Workers Local number 10. I said say it. Say it. Say it again. Sheet Metal Workers Local number 10. That's a punk rock song I wrote.
It's beautiful. We needed an anthem.
Well, you got one.
Thanks, Tom.
Here's another thing I know about you, Dave. Your last name is Sales. Do you think anybody would ever be old enough to call you Soupy?
That was my nickname in high school. Believe it or not, the youth back in 91 actually knew who he was, but every now and then I'll ask people that you would think would know who he was have no clue who he is. So
I feel bad for Soupy Sales, long gone now, because I fear that when he was riding high, he thought there's no way in hell there's going to be a time in history where I'm forgotten, especially not in the next couple, 3 decades. But the fact is, even if you've risen as high as the status of Soupy Sales, you're very quickly forgotten. Very, very quickly forgotten. Milton Soupman was his actual name. Milton Soupman, born in January of 26, died October 2009, known professionally as Soupy Sales. He was a comedian, an actor, a radio and television personality. He was also a jazz aficionado. Who the hell's ever going to remember that about him? Whoever knew that about him? Best known for his local and network children's television series, Lunch with Soupy.
that's all I really knew about him.
What? I didn't even know that. I knew him as a guy who would guest on game shows. From 53 to 66, you could have lunch with Soupy. I knew him as something else. He was a regular panelist on What's My Line?
Oh, sure, yeah.
And you'd also see him occasionally on Match Game 75 or Match Game 74. I'd be home from school sick, and there'd be Soupy, with Richard Dawson and Charles Nelson Riley, Gene Rayburn, all those guys. What do you do with your life when you're not working with sheet metal?
I live on a lake, and I have not yet taken up ice fishing because standing in front of a hole, I just haven't taken on that aspect of my life yet. But some year I will try it. I need to do something else.
There's a story in the book I wrote on winter about going out on the ice, but not ice fishing. Are you familiar with my book, Winter's Song?
Vaguely through your strolls. I haven't read it yet.
Well, a shameless plug here for the book because we are hitting what I have termed the long 90. The long 90 is the stretch between the beginning of the year and the first day of April. That's when the winter hits hardest because it's not holiday time anymore. It's not celebration time. It's not raise a glass time. It's not office party time. It's not gather round with the family time. It's the cold, hard reality of winter. 3 solid months staring at you, 90 days here in the North Country. This is the long 90. And if you can't handle the long 90, you don't belong in this part of the country. Everyone needs to learn how to take on the long 90. And there are ways, and it's done all over the world. The Finns are the happiest people on this planet, and they have the darkest, coldest winters. You can become a master of the long 90. But one of the chapters in this book, called Winter's Song, A Hymn to the North, talks about a guy who goes out on the water, on the ice, to sit and to just take it in. The incredible blue sky above, the endless ice before him, the occasional appearance of a crow, the vista in all directions, the sounds, just to sit in the middle of a frozen lake and look, to stare. The world you're looking at there will be unlike anything else you see in spring and summer and fall. And he has as much of a thrill doing that as the ice fishing folks have. And a lot of the ice fishing folks come out to him and say, what the hell you doing, man? Because he seems like a freak. He's not making a hole. He's not fishing.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
He said, I'm just sitting here. They don't like that. It spooks them. They get nervous about this guy. They start talking in the various lake homes. Who is this freak? Do we want him here? I think you might enjoy that sometime, just taking a chair, a folding chair, maybe a thermos with some hot chocolate, go out to the middle of the lake on a sunny day because that blue sky is magnificent, and just take it all in from there. Just sit there and look around at the wonder of it all. Or, as magically, if not more so, do it at night, looking up at the stars.
I think I'm going to take that under consideration because I can do it both with the sun and the stars. And then next time you call, I can report back on what happened or what didn't happen.
I would appreciate it if you didn't wait for my call, but in fact texted me and let me know what the experience was like. You don't go any longer than you enjoy it. Just do it as long as you're getting something out of it, and then hang it up. But I'd like to know what the experience was like. I'd really like to hear about it.
Well, I will do that this weekend. I don't have any excuse where I got to drive anywhere. I can just walk down 70 steps and there I go.
So you got yourself a place on a lake somewhere in Minnesota?
Yes. It's west of Mille Lacs. It was my mother's parents' cabin, 75 years plus, built in the 30s.
My favorite kind of place, an old cabin on a lake built in the 30s. Does it have that feel? Does it have that look?
Oh, yes. It's a one-bedroom cabin, mainly family room and kitchen. It has that cabiny feel with wood-burning stove.
That's a lovely place to be. Let time slow down for you there and just enjoy breathing.
No need to rush anything.
Attaboy. Old Undertaker Fred used to say to me, a regular caller back in the 1990s, don't hurry, don't worry. He stole that from a vice president. I forget which one. I think a vice president from back in the 40s. I'd have to look that one up. Let me just see who used to say that. I know Fred stole that. Who said, don't hurry, don't worry? Okay, don't hurry, don't worry was the motto of John Nance Garner, who served as the 32nd Vice President of the United States under Roosevelt. He was often referred to as Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack was known for his pithy homespun commentary and a relaxed frontier lawyer demeanor. A sign with the saying, don't hurry, don't worry, was displayed in his den and was considered one of his secrets for a long life. He lived to 99. Don't hurry, don't worry. Good old Cactus Jack. What else can you tell me about your life?
Grew up in White Bear, went out west to work in the oil fields in North Dakota.
What was it like in Dakota working in the oil fields?
The easiest way to describe that is probably comparable to your Star Trek dream. It was almost like living in a different world. Everything was fast and furious, driving here, driving there to the well sites, driving into Williston. Sometimes you couldn't even see the city. It was so dusty. It was constantly windy. Just people moving, bustling, trucks going in and out, roads that needed repair that they couldn't keep up. It was just a hustle and bustle, and you felt like a zombie. The weekend didn't have a feel. Every day just led into the next, almost like Groundhog Day.
You made a lot of money.
$12,000 a month. Not too bad.
What did you do if you wanted to find some sort of romantic relationship?
That part I did not partake, but everyone knew where to go because it was there.
It was there, not in the romantic relationship department.
Correct. The ones that you would want to have that with were already taken or married, and the others were not something you really wanted to partake in.
Was it Hooker City up there?
You could find anything. from drugs to guns to hookers, whatever you wanted. It was literally called the Wild Wild West, where the saloon gals were there and you could go upstairs. That's pretty much what it was. It was crazy.
What an interesting life.
Yeah, It was an experience. Now I'm trying to slow down.
Well, I've appreciated visiting with you. I'm glad I got a hold of you. Thanks for throwing your name on the list.
Absolutely. It's been fun.
You got any predictions for 2026? Anything you think is going to happen that maybe other people don't see? Something maybe in the spring, summer, fall?
I think people should be happier rather than be so pissed off about stupid stuff.
You're the second guy to mention that 2026 may be the time for us to get happier.
I think so. We all need it.
I hope more people are thinking the way you are and the way Richard was thinking before you. It's good to hear.
Me too.
Fills me with optimism. Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Tommy. I'll keep you updated on the little project we were talking about, going outside and doing a little ice bathing outside the ice.
Ice bathing outside the ice, exactly. And please do.
Yep.
Please message me. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear how it went.
Will do, Tom. Good talking to you.
You as well, Dave. Bye-bye. Whenever I start to do an ad for Minneapolis-St. Paul Plumbing, Heating, and Air, I always want to smile and just say 1918. I just want to say that because I just love that it's World War I and you can go to Minneapolis-St. Paul Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Who out there listening right now was alive during World War I? MSP was around then. They were around for the Roaring 20s and for the crash of 29. They were there for the Depression. They were there for the start of World War II. They were there for the rockin' 50s. They were there through the Kennedy assassination, Vietnam. They were there for those weird 70s with the bad styles and the really goofy haircuts. They were there in the 80s. They were there in the 90s. They were there at the turn of the last century. 26 years later, they're still here. What do you think happened in all those decades? They got damn good at what they do. Damn good. They got to a point where they just realized, you know how much effort it would be for someone to get better than we are? You know what kind of time they'd have to put in to equal our skills? Minneapolis, St. Paul Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Don't you want to call a legend? In the recent snowstorm we had, I was once again fascinated to come across something I've been coming across all of my life, and that is a semi-truck that has, you ready? Jackknifed. God, I love saying that. Jackknifed. I was a little kid the first time I learned of a semi-truck that had jackknifed. Now, as a kid, I had a jackknife. All the boys in the neighborhood had jackknives, but I did not know a truck could jackknife. In fact, it was a couple years, 3 years maybe, before I even learned what that meant. But I kind of liked that something could jackknife. I always wanted to jackknife in my dad's car, but my friends would tell me my dad's car was incapable of experiencing a jackknife. And that depressed me. I liked that things out there could jackknife. That was way cooler to me than something that could buckle. Buckle's kind of cool. The thing buckled. Yeah, you think that's cool? I know something that jackknifed. All right, you got me beat there. I knew things that could shatter or warp, contort, crumble. None of that was as cool as something that could jackknife. There were things that could get mangled, that could melt, implode, deflate. But when something would jackknife, well, you almost thought it was better that way. What, you say it's jackknifed? That's pretty cool. Leave it. Hey, did you hear that truck jackknifed? On purpose? Of course on purpose. Once it learned it could jackknife, it had to jackknife. You'd jackknife it, wouldn't you? Hell yeah, I'd jackknife it. If something was capable of jackknifing, everyone would want to jackknife it. Heck yeah. I want to jackknife into heaven. When life is over, that's what I want. Just to jackknife into heaven. Oh, it's gonna be a hell of a stunt. You want to roll or dive or tumble away from this old crazy life. But I believe it would be a lot more fun if we could all jackknife. I want to jackknife in my bedroom when my wife comes home at night. I want to jackknife out of bed each day and straight into that sunlight. Come see me jackknife at the bar. It's the coolest dance I know. I travel the world and I jackknife most everywhere I go. And that's about gonna do it for this show. Thank you all for hanging out with me. We'll do it again real soon. So long for now.